Hello everyone, thanks for joining me on another making of video. This time is, at least from my perspective, it is a very special recording of this making of video because now more than ever we have the meaning of celebrating Mexico with a selection of fine songs, which we made that little change in the subtitle very recently. But now more than ever, this celebration of Mexico makes more sense than even before because I would like to share with you that today we are having or we are celebrating with a song from a Cuban composer known by everyone, Ernesto Lecuona. And before we jump in detail into the song, the composer, and the style, I would like to share with you uh, a few things that I think are very important and that, as I was saying before, make a lot of sense now that we are celebrating Mexico. I have shared with you not only that, well, we are celebrating that Puerto Vallarta is a very beautiful place to live, a very beautiful place where you can spend your vacations. As for me, I'm still in Puerto Vallarta. Not sure for how much longer, but for the moment, I'm still here. Sunny, warm days, but most people like to keep it just like that, like a beautiful sunny day, sunny place with nice beaches, and that's pretty much it. But I have insisted in the past that Puerto Vallarta is not only in the Valle de Banderas, but Puerto Vallarta is part of Mexico. And Mexico is not only us and our very beautiful Mexican songs and great composers, but Mexico is also Latin America. And I have had the chance of bringing a couple of songs in previous to this one during this series of the 50 music postcards from other Latin American composers and also Hispano America. Now that we're talking about Spain, because Mexico, no matter how some people like to be disgusted with the Spanish, it's not a secret to anyone that we were conquered all over 5 centuries ago. And so when you speak of Mexico, you do not only speak of Latin America, but you also speak of the influence of Spanish. To start with, our language in Mexico is Spanish, of course, our own variation of the language, but we speak Spanish. So at this point, there is no reason to keep that anger towards a country. And we have to learn from history and we'll have to learn to love them. And going a little back, not only to Mexico, Mexican composers, but now going back to Latin America, there is Cuba. And even if most of Mexicans have never been to Cuba, there is a very special bond between the people from Cuba. The Cubans, we like them very much. And for some reason, it seems that Cubans also like Mexicans very much. Of course, there are a couple of things in history we share more for maybe for some of you who are watching this video now, this will be a surprise, but there are a couple of things that I want to share with you. First of all, for many people, it is not known that the conqueror of at least the territory that we now call Mexico, because back to those days, it was not Mexico, but a good number of local villages or local countries, indigenous countries, or regions, rather say regions. Hernán Cortés, the conqueror of this area of the continent, before coming to Mexico, he stopped in the island where now is Cuba. In fact, many of you may not know, but there is a house of Hernán Cortés down there. Not only we have one when he came to Mexico conquering the state, but there is also a house of Hernán Cortés down there in Cuba. So first, we share that many people at this point, if you are at least one of those who are still angry at the Spanish, you may not be very happy to know that they first arrived to that island and conquered the country before coming to this country and later on conquering what is now called Mexico. But it is interesting to find that we first shared that, and there is something from a more recent history that somehow shows how close Cuba and Mexico have been for centuries already. There is in the history of Mexico a very sad passage. Uh, Mexico, right after the Mexican Revolution that started in 1910, led by Francisco y Madero and many other revolutionary leaders. At the end, they defeat Porfirio Diaz and his government, and we have the first elected president in open elections in Mexico happened to be Mr. Francisco y Madero, which couple of years later, after uh, many, many, not only people in Mexico, but only countries, seeing how he was governing Mexico, they didn't like him. So there is a treason. The traitor is Victoriano Huerta, a general of the Mexican army. Uh, they take he and his troops take Mr. Francisco y Madero, the elected president of Mexico, then bring him to jail, and later on he's executed. I was telling you that is a very sad passage in the history of Mexico, and you may be wondering at this point, what does Cuba has to do with it? Well, what we can read in history, and this is something that I learned in the past week, in the past few days, as I've been rehearsing the song that we are bringing today, as I was rehearsing it, I had a chance of listening to a podcast that talks about the history of Mexico, and I heard this anecdote or this passage of our history that the United States government was not very happy with Francisco y Madero. So one of the reasons Francisco y Madero is taken prisoner and betrayed by his own army and later on executed is by the cooperation of the U.S. government in the representation of the U.S. ambassador in Mexico. The U.S. ambassador could have done a lot to save the president of Mexico life, but he did not anything but delivering or letting things happen, and somehow was one of the conspirators, which at the end finished with Francisco y Madero's life. That is the sad part of the story. Our first president in open legal elections executed by a traitor, government of the US being part of it. But that's where Cuba jumps in. At some point, as the ambassador from Cuba learned of this conspiracy to kill the Mexican president, the ambassador jumps in and offers to have Mr. Francisco y Madero and his wife to take them to the port of Veracruz and later to leave for Cuba so they could live in exile for the rest of their days. So what the Cuban ambassador offered was basically to save the president of Mexico's life. Unfortunately, his offer was not taken. Now we know that Mr. Francisco Madero was in fact executed, but what we know is that in fact he supports and helps the now widow, the former wife of Madero, and brings his support for her. That's only one of the chapters of the passages where Cuba was close to Mexico, and for more recent times, Cuba has always been in the heart of most Mexicans. We are very well aware, and we are very empathic. We share lots of things with the Cuban country, and that's one of the reasons I really feel very proud and happy of bringing this song for you today. Of course, wishing the best for the people of Cuba, which we understand it's a very complicated political situation. And but no matter what, even now that it is the U.S. that have this economic blockage on the island of Cuba, Mexico has never stopped sharing the best that it has with them. So, with all that being shared, and I know that many of you may not agree, Both all of those are facts. Cuba and Mexico share a lot in common, and will continue to share a lot, no matter what the political affinities or hates are in the air. Now, going back to the positive part of it, today I am very happy to share with you a song by Mr. Ernesto Lecuona. Ernesto Lecuona is a very famous composer, a Cuban composer, author of many, many great uh, songs. And it is the case now of Maria Lao. Maria Lao is the name of the main character. It is in fact uh, it is not. It is neither a zarzuela or an opera. It is called a sainete lírico. So let's call it a theater, an theater play with singing, singing opera, singing musical theater. There are some particularities which we will not discuss in detail, but it is a part. In fact, this song is part of a complete play, which is one act based on my notes. And the first time, now I can share with you, the first time I heard it was on the AM radio. Now again, the AM radio program Joyas Líricas, led by the now deceased Don Jacobo Moret. I remember my Sunday afternoons, just as this Sunday that I am recording now, Sunday afternoons with a very small AM radio, then with a recorder, tape recorder, waiting for one of the songs to be, or arias now that I know, to be played on the radio. And I remember having recorded this Maria Lao. I remember, and I have to confess now that before preparing it, it is until today that I am recording it after having recorded already the versions that I am going to choose one from and later load it into YouTube. But I didn't want to hear it before because when I am preparing the songs, I don't want any interference from any other interpreter. I don't want to like something and then copy it and do it their way, because what I like to do is to study it myself. Of course, I have, as I have shared in the past, there is something and there are notes, feelings and sensations that I have in my mind, and that's exactly what I recall. I recall a female voice, a very powerful female voice. I understood it was a soprano, and it is until today that I am recording it that I did some research and I find out that the recording that I actually have in my tapes, it's by Dolores Perez. Dolores Perez is the soprano that sang the version that I have in my mind, and of which I am going to share with you a little of the music. I am pretty sure at this point that this will be spotted also by YouTube as a copyright violation. So I will try to keep the minimum of the song so that if they mute it, there is not much affected. But there is something, besides you listening to the extremely powerful voice of Dolores Perez, I would like you to pay attention to something that I am going to remark later, and that I would like to give you preliminary words on that. And that is that the way because I have done it with, especially with Maria Grieber, sharing with you when we are singing Maria Grieber's songs and do this making of videos, that I insist on how Maria Grieber has a very natural way of writing music for the way we actually speak Spanish in Mexico. It is a very similar thing with what Ernesto Lecuona did with Maria Lao. He wrote it in the rhythm of what we perceive to be the rhythm on how Cubans speak. So there is this very tropical, rhythmic, beautiful way of speaking. We really like the way it sounds because we already have on the screen the score, and it says Mulata infeliz, tu vida acabó, which if it was like in the line of Mexico, it could be Mulata infeliz, tu vida acabó. But if you think on how a Cuban would actually say it, it would be more like Mulata infeliz, tu vida acabó, de risa y guaracha se ha roto el bongo. I am, of course, exaggerating it a little, but I would like you to listen to her version, to Dolores Perez version, and let's play it if you don't mind. Let me see, I have it here. Yeah, I'm going to play it in a second. I'm going to diminish the audio a little so that it is not spotted immediately by YouTube. But I would also like to insist on I didn't share it. This version that I had in my mind was with a full orchestra, so the sound of the violins and everything is there sets the mood for the song, and it is absolutely amazing. It gives you, it starts, the sound of the violins tell you with those high notes that something is not very well, that we are about to listen to a story that is very sad itself, and it is the story of the protagonist, and let's listen to it. As you could listen so far, it is exactly what I had just shared. It goes like Mulata infeliz, tu vida acabó, de risa y guaracha se ha roto el bongo. I am going to try to play it again, those 10 seconds, so that you pay attention to that this time. Yeah, let's play it there. Que oías ayer temblando de amor. If you see, that's how the whole song goes. It's besides being absolutely precious, I mean, having the opportunity of at least trying to speak with the natural rhythm and intonation of our dear Cuban friends. There is something that I would like to say about this song, and what I would like to say about this song is that it is a very sad song. There is a whole tone of sadness. I have to say at this point that the rendition that you hear from Dolores Perez, it's you could also hear it full voice. Uh, the rendition you will hear from me for this song, it's on the opposite side. Most of the power of the voice is out, except of the parts where there are two high notes at the end of it. But most of it is very sad. You are telling the story of a mulata. I am wondering, or I am thinking that you are aware of the word mulatto. Mulatto refers to a person who is a mix of two races, the black race and white race, and that's exactly what we have in Cuba. The mix of Spanish people and of black people that are originals. There are some that were taken from Africa, that's another story, but Cuba has a lot of mulattoes. And so Maria Lao is a mulata. She's daughter of a white and a black person and tells us the story. And that's why I keep insisting that it is a very sad story, because it says that she is an unhappy mulata. Your life is over. That laughter, that happiness, it's all over. That music that you used to listen to yesterday and that you used to tremble of love and that you were so happy with your illusions besides a cruel man. But now that cruel man, his love is gone. At, his love has gone off my heart because now I have to tell you that the story is told in the first person. So when she says mulata infeliz, tu vida acabó, as if she was speaking to a third person, but in fact, in the as it repeats, now we understand that it is actually Maria that is talking to herself. So she starts saying, "You unhappy mulata, that your life is all over because that love that you used to feel with that cruel man is now over. Now your love." that is gone off my heart, and now that you hate him so much, because my passion that hurt his treason is only now the thirst of seeing him going back and surrender to my feet. So there is sadness and there's this feeling of willing to have his own revenge on him. That's the pretty much the color of the song. So it goes, let's go back to mulata infeliz, tu vida acabó, de risa y guaracha se ha roto el bongo, que oías ayer temblando de amor y con ilusión junto a un hombre cruel. And now comes the melody that most people know this song about. María la ya no más cantar. María la hora es de llorar. And if you notice here, also the hora es de llorar has also this beautiful, nice rhythm of the Cuban speakers. It is not hora es de llorar, it is hora es de llorar y de recordar el tiempo feliz de tus besos que fugaz ya voló. This amazingly beautiful and sad tone of the song is what I would like to share mainly with you. That's the spirit I keep of this song. I really hope you will enjoy this sad, very, very, very sad song as much as I enjoyed rehearsing it and actually singing it. The song ends by telling María Lao sueña en morir. María Lao, that is herself, Maria Lao, you that only dream of dying now. Thank you very much and hope to see you sometime very soon.